Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. For today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how I made this butter ganache bark inspired wrap cake, and it's also decorated with all chocolate decorations. Now this is not exactly supposed to be a bark cake, but that's to me what it looks like. And I have seen two other cake designers do something similar, so I will try to tag. I know I have the information for one, and I will tag them in the video description. I'll try to find both of them. So I give credit where I got my inspiration from. This is just my take on what they did. Now, this is just chocolate butter ganache, and I will also in the video description have the recipe link for how to make this this butter ganache. I did the semi-sweet version. There's different versions. You can do white chocolate, you can do milk chocolate, and you can do dark chocolate. I use semi-sweet chips, so I went with the dark chocolate ratio. So that's how I got my base color, but I wanted to make it darker. I wanted to get it more of a black, so I just add black food coloring by Color Mill. This is meant for chocolate. And to create this look, I am wetting down my tabletop with just my water bottle, just water. And then I'm going to take some saran wrap. This is how you do this. I tried this a long time ago, and I tried it with regular ganache. It didn't work out because the cream-based ganache doesn't set up as firm as quickly as the butter ganache. That's why I go with the butter ganache. And I'm just using my fingers to kind of gather it up. And this is not ganache. This is just straight white chocolate chips that I melted down in 30-second increments. And I'm thinning it down with just some vegetable oil. Any clear oil should work, but I just go with vegetable because I always have it on hand. And you can kind of see here the consistency that we're going for. And I'm just using a wide brush. Now you could use a foam brush. You could probably just dip a paper towel into the chocolate also. But this, I like to use this brush because chocolate likes to set up fast when it's basically just chocolate. That's part of the reason I added the oil, is to thin it down some and to give myself a little bit more playtime. And I'm just brushing it thinly on top of the saran wrap in its wrinkled condition. And I'm holding the top because it wanted to slide around a little bit. So I'm holding the edges down as I brush it. Now this is going to set up, like I said, real quick. So pretty much once you get this on here, give it just a minute. Get your other chocolate melted down again if you need to get it to a good consistency to pour. And by the time you have that ready, this chocolate's going to be ready for you to do the second stage. Now, I rolled out way more saran wrap than I needed. I don't know why. So I realized before I got to it that I'm probably not going to need this. So I wasn't too worried about that end piece, but I just went ahead and finished it off. And this is the trick. Once it has dried, you just gently pull those wrinkles out. And that gives you your cracks. You know, sometimes you see these designs and you think, wow, I have no idea how they did that. And most of the time, it's really a simple solution. And that's what struck me so much with this technique is, wow, that's really easy and very impressive. And you could do this with different color combinations. This is the second time I did it. The first time I did it with a gray background, and it was fine, but I didn't have enough white chocolate, so I didn't like the way it turned out. So you could, the white and the gray contrast, I think, is nice. You could do something brighter. You could do a bright pink or a blue. Possibilities are endless. And then once I had that all pulled out, I'm just using my wood. I don't know what to call these. These are just straight pieces of wood that I got from the hardware store that I've only used with cakes. Now, if I were to use these for an actual order, I would wrap them in saran wrap to make them food safe. But this is just a demo cake. So I didn't bother with that, but that's what I would do for an actual order. If you can't, you can buy the plastic ones that are meant to be used with food, but for me, they're not long enough for what I typically do. So I just poured the chocolate ganache over the top of it and smoothed it out. And here's where I'm removing the extra from the bottom or the back end, whatever you want to call that, from that side. just to get it out of my way, because I needed to have some extra saran wrap on the ends to actually be able to lift it. So, and to get the two to stick together, the cake had been in the refrigerator and it was nice and chilled, but that means that the ganache is firmed up solid. So I just use my creme brulee torch to kind of melt a little bit the actual ganache on the cake and the ganache on the wrap. And I stuck some acetate underneath that saran wrap. I should have done that first. I don't know if you can, because with the whole technique with the crinkling up of the saran wrap, you're just going to have to go back and slide it under. It makes it easier to lift it onto the cake. And since the back of the saran wrap was damp, it stuck to the acetate in the lifting section, so it was not a problem. So I set that in the refrigerator to chill, and now I'm making my chocolate decorations. And I'm just using what I already have. So I have some more of that white chocolate I melted down again, and I just put, as you saw, globs on the acetate and brush it out with pastry brush, and then curled it and put it in that. It's just a vase that I have to dry in that curved piece, or in a circular pattern. And then I made some white chocolate spheres while I was at it. I had some more chocolate, and those set up really fast. And you could see once they had set up, I just was able to unroll it, and those popped right off. And now I just removed the saran wrap from the cake and then cut off that extra piece. Any thin, sharp blade or knife is going to work to remove that excess. Chocolate is fairly easy to cut through, but if you have trouble, just warm up your knife with hot water or with a creme brulee torch. And then I had that little, I don't know if you saw that, a little spot where the chocolate pulled off of the cake. I just used pieces from the top that I cut off and kind of patched that hole. Now I'm just attaching my decorations with some more melted chocolate. Chocolate's going to stick with chocolate when you have chocolate as a glue. You could use buttercream if you want to, but I had the chocolate handy, so I just went ahead and used it. I'm just going for an abstract approach here. Just kind of like pieces of curled bark climbing up the tree there. I don't know. I didn't have that idea in my head when I started. I just made that up. This is abstract, so you kind of can do what you want. And then I did use my extra dark, the black butter ganache, and did the same thing with making those shards, those curled shards, but it is more temperamental than just straight chocolate, like the white chocolate. So it's a little softer. You can still use it, but it didn't want to pull off of the acetate sheet as easy. I put it in the freezer and left it there for probably about 20 minutes before I even tried to pull it off, and it still stuck a little bit, but it's going to work okay. I would still do that. And I made some spheres with the dark chocolate also. If you have any boo-boos where you have buttercream or chocolate that you see that you're using as glue and you don't want to, I just use a toothpick and just kind of scraped it away. Now I like to go in groupings of 3 odd numbers. I always say odd numbers are a little bit more visually appealing than even numbers. And I wanted to add a little bit of I was going to say a tower on the bottom there, but just a little pile of the spheres, just to add some visual interest there, because we got a lot of straight lines. I wanted to add some round lines with those spheres. And I'm this time adding not just gold, wait for it, there's actually silver too. Edible gold and silver leaf. And I'm just attaching that with some piping gel. If what you're working on is still damp, you're like a buttercream that's not set up yet or not dried yet, your gold leaf and any of your edible leaves are going to stick to it fine. But if it's crusted over or you're working with fondant, use water or piping gel. Piping gel is a little stronger. So this is our final product. I think it's cool. It's very modern and dramatic. And I hope you got something. Hope you learned something that you can use. As always, please like, share, comment, subscribe, do all the things. And we'll catch you on the next one.